The Dechambros are back, and wow, Tanner, what a crazy weekend we had with the Masters.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly a few moments ago. I've got a golf hangover because of how amazing that round was. The entire tournament.
I was just going to say, man.
Locked in the entire 4 days there. And then we kind of wake up today thinking, oh, we got another elevated event this week to come and enjoy. So, I mean, lots to talk about. Of course, Rory's Grand Slam win finally. So let's get right into it. We're back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a perfect weekend we had with the Masters. Yeah. And I've been saying this to everyone. I think that as long as I've been watching golf, I can't remember a better tournament, never mind a better Masters in terms of, how everything went. You had
the amount of storylines that were developing throughout the weekends, and
the up and down, and Rory himself.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Justin Rose,
all the players, Shane Lowry. You know what I mean? Scotty Scheffler having a few little runs at it in the first few days. Even Morikawa, we were so high on him, and having him finish T12 feels so underwhelming for what we were expecting, but it's still not just so much to talk about here.
Yeah, I wish it was T14, but yeah, I mean, 100%. It's hard to say because am I upset with the T14? Is it underperforming? It's still a top 20 in a major tournament.
Oh, I know.
Especially with everything that went on this
felt
weekend.
Like he left so much on that course.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because in terms of storylines too, I mean, like Colin still played fairly consistent throughout the entire tournament. Like, I mean, I really wanted to talk a little bit too about the finish between Bryson and Rory, because my God, was I excited to see that showdown, especially with what happened obviously at the US Open last year. I thought that was going to bring all of the drama, and then after the first couple of holes, like the drama was crazy. You didn't know what was going to happen. And then Bryson just kind of faded, and Rory honestly ultimately just did enough to win.
I was going to say, Rory left the door open for everyone and anyone. It felt like shades of, 2014, 2011, when he had his first attempt, 4-stroke lead going into Sunday. It felt like that was going to happen. And then on the 18th hole, he misses that. I was calling it out. He was going to miss that putt. I knew it. And I honestly was like, okay, is this the end of Rory? Are we going to see Rory again this year for another month, 2 months? Like, what's it going to look like? And then, I mean, I was looking at some of the statistics, and those 3 iron shots, 3 approaches to end his tournament there, it was something like 0.00038% chance of him hitting it within those distances 3 times in a row like that. Like, we say it, like, when the time is, like, when it's crunch time, when you have to do it, the best players can do it. And he showed it even in the middle of an all-time kind of meltdown, what was looking like it at
100%. And I mean, everyone's been talking about it all last week. You cannot double bogey and win. I mean, the last 2 to do it, you had Scotty Scheffler famously with a 4-putt at the end. He was, winning by $1 billion, so it didn't really matter. You had John Rahm double bogeying his first hole of the tournament, ultimately winning. What do we get? 4 double bogeys out of Rory throughout the weekend? Like
4 or 5?
Just what an
5, because he had 2 on Sunday.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Yeah, so 5.
So just what an absolute roller coaster of a ride, just a roller coaster of emotions, ultimately coming down to the Grand Slam. Like, even on 18, I thought when he put that gap wedge into the bunker, I was like, oh no, fuck. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to get so close again, and he's going to let it disappear. He hit that great sand shot, and I went, oh man, he's got a 6-footer. Like, come on, just put a little thing in.
Not even that much of a slider either. He hit it, what was it, like right center or like right side of the cup, and it just kind of just kept fading to that side. It just never had a break that he was seeing, right?
Yeah, it just started low and it stayed low on him, and it was just like, are we going to see this again? But for him to come out in the playoff, all those nerves, stripe a drive down the middle of the, I mean, the difference between him and Justin Rose too, Justin Rose was hitting an 8-iron.
Yep.
And Rory had a gap wedge. So that just shows how far this guy can hit this ball.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were on screen and it was like Rosie was hitting an 8-iron 157. I'm like, I'd hit my 8-iron 157. That's like the first time I was like, he's like me. So I feel like the gap wedge that Rory has goes a lot further than the gap wedge that Rosie has.
Yeah.
So like it's not as consistent of a...
I think what the difference too, when we were listening to it, like the 8-iron, he played it to 160, 165. Like he played for the long miss, the safe shot.
Yep.
Rory, being in a position with a wedge in his hand, was able to attack.
Yeah.
And my God, did he attack. He put it away. Just beautiful tournament, man.
Oh, and I mean, the celebration, we were watching together. I was getting emotional for Rory, right? Like I know how much that meant to him, how much he's gone through. Love or hate some of the antics that have gone on in the past, 10 years plus. To accomplish something like this, he's the 6th man to ever do it. You just got to give it up to the guy, right? 100%. Like unbelievable accomplishment, and just a great tournament, great ending to the tournament. I would have loved to see Rosie win it too. But there was no better ending than Rory doing it in Rory fashion, having a meltdown, and then winning, in a playoff there.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And to me, I think that this win only solidifies what we've been saying all year. This is the year of Rory. This win completely opens him up. You have the weight of the world completely off of your shoulders now, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of this season and seeing what Rory can do. And ultimately, I mean, this might be a hot take, might not be. I think this is the year Rory takes that #1 in the world spot back.
Yeah, I was reading he has to win another major to do that. He's still quite a ways away from Scotty. He's got 3 wins on tour this year. Scotty had 7 or 9 last year, however many, right? Like it's a big difference to make up still, but he's closer than anybody to doing it.
What if Rory goes on a Scotty run here and this was, the floodgates have opened and we see a 7, 8, 9 win on 2 major, like
to go on a Scotty run, you got to show up to the RBC Heritage. So he ain't doing that.
Well, you know what though? I don't mind him taking this week off.
I figured he was win or lose,
Like my God, how it's just
what a hangover it would have for sure. 14 years of frustration to finally accomplish it, right?
You know what? Go home, celebrate, have a few drinks, go back across the pond, and then we'll see you when you come back. But I think that's a great segue to go into.
I don't think it is, because I'm not done.
Continue.
Sorry. I got a few things I want to talk about. Number one, mainly, we talked about how great the tournament was. I would have loved to see more of the tournament. I felt, and a lot of people online have felt, that the broadcast was not spectacular in the sense of showcasing enough of the golfers. We had 2 golfers, we talked about this earlier, inside the top 10, Sungjae Im and Xander. We didn't see a single shot of them the entire weekend long. On Thursday, Friday, I was telling you, I was so frustrated trying to watch Bryson. I was watching the golf and then going to the Masters app every 2 minutes to watch the next shot of Bryson because they weren't showing any. It felt like I was having to struggle to watch who I wanted to watch. Saturday, Sunday was a little bit better in that sense, but it got me thinking, and I was telling you about it earlier. I got a little bit of an idea on how to fix it, at least for major season, because you've got all the cameras. They're already watching and they're recording all the golfers, is to do something like the NFL's Red Zone, but call it either Green Zone, Master Zone, and have it as an online subscription purchase where you go in and you pick your own broadcast. You choose the golfers you want to see, and it, using AI, I mean, AI is great. We use it. Everybody uses it now. Creates your own broadcast. So you're only seeing each golfer, right?
Yep.
And you're seeing the shots you want to see, the golfers that you care about. You'd pay money for it. I'd pay money for something like that.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's growing the fan experience. And I love the name Green Zone.
For sure. And I mean, kudos to the Masters app. It's my favorite app to download and delete once a year.
Oh, yeah, it's already gone.
They did a phenomenal job once again this year. And I think the challenge in terms of the coverage with the Masters is the way they do it. And I think that there's a creative way in terms of, hey, you know what? TSN 1 has Amen Corner. TSN 2 has feature. It's just, they need a better they need to do a better job of picking featured groups if that's what they're going to do, or have a more wide variety of featured groups, right? Have two commentators on these groups, have two, like, continue to expand that, because you're absolutely right. Like, I was trying to pull up on my phone here on Sunday. So we saw 76 shots out of Rory, 69 out of Bryson, 52 out of Ludwig. So they kind of really obviously centered in on who they wanted to center in on. But if you keep going down, like, Max Homa, T12, we haven't talked about this yet. Phenomenal showing out of Max. Yeah. Absolutely love to see Max coming back into his form. What does that mean for the rest of his year? I'm really excited to find out. But Max Homa, they only showed 8 shots of. So that's a whole storyline of a player who has been struggling realistically for the past 2 years. I mean, he had a great finish last year in the Masters. And historically,
he's done well at Masters.
100% that we completely missed, right? Same thing, Sung Jae Im. He finished 5th, 2 shots. Xander Schauffele finished 8th, 2 shots, man. Zach Johnson finished 8th, 2 shots. John Rahm finished T14. They showed 1 shot. Yeah. So there's all of these great storylines that we're missing. In all honesty, like, especially on Sunday with the roller coaster of emotions I was on with Rory, I can complain all I want that I didn't get to see any other golfer play. That's really all I wanted to watch anyway. So if they had this green zone, that's all I would have been watching anyways. But you're absolutely correct in the major scene and the big, you know what I mean, platform that we're on. I mean, if F1 has it, you can go right into the cockpit and watch that, whatever driver you want, the whole race, the practice, whatever the fuck you want, right?
Yep.
So I love the idea.
Yeah. I mean, like, truthfully, hearing you say that too and thinking about how their broadcast is set up, I'd be interested to know the stats on who actually watches hole 13, 14, 15 broadcast too. Like, I would never in my life think that's, you know, of all the broadcast options I have, I just want to watch 3 holes only, and I'm just going to cycle through. Like, that sounds weird to me to even think that would be what my interest was, is only 3 holes on a golf course and not really following the golf as it's going. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's people that do because it's out there.
I agree with you.
But what would stats be?
Yeah, it's something they do every year. So obviously they have to be finding some sort of success.
It's other tournaments too. I see it all the time, right? Where, you know, it's hole 16, 17, 18. Like, that would be even better because at least you're seeing the ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, that's a weird one, right? Like, why not just have 4 featured groups every single day, and you have 3 golfers in each of them, and you've got 12 golfers a day that you're highlighting, and at least you're showcasing more. Yeah. And you're giving more options to people, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you.
That was all. I said a little bit of passion on that one there. I wanted to get out, so appreciate you.
Well, let's move forward to this week, because we do have the next signature event of the year in the RBC Heritage. And before we get down to, you know, betting favorites and things like that, we talk about this every single year, looking at the signature event lineup. I mean, I'll voice it to the world. I think that it's an atrocity for the PGA Tour to force the players into a signature event the week after a major, especially the RBC Heritage with, I mean, we're obviously biased being Canadians, but the RBC sponsors the Canadian Open as well. That's later into the summer. It's spread out between any other signature events that are out there. I don't understand why the RBC Heritage is a signature event. Maybe someone out there has an answer, and you know what I mean? Feel free to comment if you know why. But to me, this is just a really bad place in the schedule to put another signature event, because you said it earlier, man. I'm on a golf hangover. I'm on an emotional distress hangover of everything that we went through in the Masters and everything that we realistically go through every year when we watch the Masters. We get to such a high that you're going to peak and drop. And it's just really unfortunate that I don't have as much drive to wake up and watch golf this week as I should for a signature event. Yeah,
I mean, I completely agree with you. I think, truthfully, too, when you look at the the history of the Canadian Open. It was one of the largest, most important tournaments, leading into the 50s, 60s, 70s. It was one of the big ones. I'm not too sure why. Like, I know that there's a lot of history in this course specifically. I have a little bit of a to talk about the course and the heritage of the course and all of that. So we'll get into that in a moment here. But a lot of great golfers win here, right? Yeah. The Jack Nicklauses, the Gary Players,
the Scotty Schefflers.
You can go down the list.
Speeds, yeah.
Honestly, like a lot of good players win here, and it's been at this course since the 60s.
Yep.
And I think the tour values that continuity and like the moments where you're like, because there's a few holes on this course that are classic holes, and like it's just providing a little bit more oomph to that ability to recognize the course, recognize the moments. And
there's another jacket on the line as well, the red
the ugliest jacket ever, right? Like a Don Cherry looking jacket for sure. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I agree with you fully. I got nothing more beyond
let's get into
that Canada one, man.
Let's get into Harbour Town then. What do you got on the course for me, brother?
So, okay, like you said, fifth signature event, right? $20 million pocket tournament here, right? Purse. Scotty's the returning champ. So, Harbour Town Golf Links, also known as the Hilton Head or the Hilton Head. I'm not too sure, but
Hilton Head.
Yeah, but
I was gonna let you go with it.
I'm just, like Head is a little bit more fancy, a little bit more.
The Head, it's more plaid jackety.
Yeah. I'm sticking with Head.
All right.
Was designed by legendary course designer Pete Dye in 1967, with the layout staging the RBC heritage since '69. So the continuity of it being here, right? Known as one of the best public golf courses, it's not private. In the USA. It's also one of the shortest on the PGA Tour calendar, measuring at 7,200 yards. It plays as a par 71 for the week. So just because it's slightly shorter than the average doesn't mean it's any easier. As Harbour Town's known for its tight fairways, overhanging trees, plenty of bunkers and water, and tough green complexes. In terms of that signature hole I was talking about, that'd be the par 4 18th, which is one of the most recognizable. And one of the best finishing holes in all of golf. It features the Harbour Town Lighthouse behind the green. Players aim for the widest part of the fairway from the tee, with the approach playing a big part in the outcome of the tournament. When it comes to the hardest hole on the course, that would be the par 4 8th hole, which requires a dogleg left approach shot to a narrow green. Last year, 44 bogeys and 6 doubles were made throughout the week on that hole. In terms of what to look out for as far as stats for the course that are important, so strokes gained tee to green, and scrambling, and true strokes gained as well. So Harbour Town is small greens, and it's going to favor some accuracy over length this week.
Cool. So we're going to see, some rises and some falls, a whole lot more ups and downs, another emotional roller coaster might be in store for us. So
it's looking like it.
Let's get into the betting. So you mentioned, obviously, Scotty Scheffler is our defending champion.
Sure is.
He's also, of course, the betting favorite at plus 360 coming into this week. He's coming off a top 5 at the Masters. Really, my question for you is, where do you think that Scotty's game is at coming into the RBC, comparing, obviously, last season to this season? And do you think that we're finally going to see the return of Scotty Scheffler into the winner's circle this week?
So I'll answer that the easiest, most simple way possible. I think it'd be cheating for me to pick him as my top 5 bet this week. So I think that answers your question. I think it's just ridiculous to say anything other than he's the best chance to win it. He's the odds-on favorite for a reason. Yeah, he hasn't been performing to the point of winning 3 times already on tour this year. But Scotty Scheffler being off his game is still top 10 in the majors, is still top 5 in many courses around the world. Looking at the stats that I talked about, the ones that are important, tee to green, he's 3rd on tour this year. Total strokes gained, he's 3rd on tour this year. Scrambling, he's 1st on tour this year. Do I think he has an opportunity to win? I think he has the best opportunity of everyone in the field to win.
For sure.
Straight up, man. Yeah, it is what it is.
To me, looking at betting and looking at the numbers, I'm I'm 100% with you. Does he top 5 this? Does he second it? I think that's a shoo-in. But looking at the odds, I mean, plus 360 to win is still really low odds for me to ever pick a straight out winner. And his top finish odds are an atrocity.
Yeah, well, I mean, I put a little parlay together, and I got Scotty Scheffler top 10 in my parlay. Yeah. I got 3 top 10s going, right? I feel like a top 10's almost a shoe-in for Scotty at this point in time, right? He's only ever played here twice, a win and then an 11th place.
Yep.
So the 11th place, I mean, kind of bite the bullet on that if that happens to me there. But yeah, I mean, you can't knock that guy, right? Yeah. He is the number 1 in the world. Yeah, Rory's kind of barking up that tree right now, but it's still Scheffler's tree. It's still his farm. It's still his orchard. You know what I mean? Like, it's Scotty Scheffler's world, baby, and we're still living in it.
Absolutely. So one thing too, big staggering difference obviously between Scotty, and this is something that we're starting to see more and more common, but the next best in terms of betting odds, we got 2 of them in Ludwig and Colin, both at plus 1,200. So if you don't mind, I wanted to kind of start this with Luddy. Ludwig obviously has played this tournament once in his career, which was last year.
Yep.
T10 last year. He's coming off a really, really great finish in the Masters with that T7 or Solo 7, I believe it was, with a disappointing finish to Sunday as well. So in my mind, I think that, Ludwig's back and is a top contender coming into this tournament.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on the opposite end of that equation for you. Before Masters, so yeah, T7 Masters, great finish. There's a lot of hype on him going into Masters. I was a little down on him, and he kind of showed me why I shouldn't have been, and maybe that's a little bit of foreshadowing for this week as well. But I mean, taking a look at it, yeah, he's won on tour this year, right? But he's also missed the cut directly twice, like right after that tournament.
Yep.
So, he goes a win, cut, T7 Masters. Looking at his stats this year, tee to green, 54th in the field, 68th strokes gained total, 105 scrambling. I don't know if this is the week. I think last year he went into the Masters in great form too. And this year he didn't come into the Masters in great form. He played well, exceeded expectations, at least on what I had, not what the odds makers had. They had him sitting right where he needed to be. I don't know. I feel like this has been like a yearly kind of, like the whole year, this has been a trend for me. I just don't know why I don't believe in Goldberg.
Yeah, and it could be more just, again, a personal bias from me. I mean, like, Ludwig,
he's smooth. I get it. I love watching I love his swing. I just don't know. I see the stats. I see how he's played, and the Masters looks like an outlier to me, because even the win is like an outlier, because every single tournament before that win, he did not play well. So it's either he plays extremely well and gets a top 10, or he's bottom of the pack. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
And all the hype he had coming into this year was he's going to be the next big thing. Expect top 10s every single turn. And it's only been top 10s when he shows up. And every other week it hasn't. So I don't know.
Well, let's move on and talk to about someone, that has been playing consistent and the numbers are there. And our guy, Colin Morikawa. So again, plus 1,200 to win. T14 at the Masters, it's funny to say, disappointing T14, but realistically, all the hype that we had for Colin going in there, T14, I did expect him to be, in the top 10, if not the top 5, obviously, like I bet him to be. But his iron game is still been on display, and he has been extremely consistent throughout the 4 days of the weekend, which has been great. I mean, if you take a look at it, this year so far, right, T14 at the Masters, T10 at the Players, 2nd at the Arnold Palmer, 17th at the Genesis, 17th at the AT&T, 2nd at the Century. Like, he has not yet finished outside of the top 20. And going into this weekend, last year he got 9th. Couple of shaky years before that with a T31 and a T26. But he also finished 7th back in back in 2021. So Colin does play well at the Heritage and has been playing well this year. I think he's a great, great contender. Maybe not to win it, but definitely in top finish position.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I think the comment of his T14 being underwhelming, it's not a disappointment. It's that I just felt like there was so much left for him to accomplish at that tournament. And I really did see him finishing inside the top 5 as well. I picked him top 10, which was a little bit of a bite in the, few strokes off that. But, a T14 is insanely good at the Masters, right? And he's played extremely consistent all year long. You're not wrong. As far as the stats that are important this week, he ranks up there at the top of the pack, right? Tee to green, first on the tour. Total strokes gained, second on tour. Scrambling, he's 26th on tour. So all the stats, all the finishes, all of the performance this year leads me to believe that you're correct, right? I have a question though. And it's something I struggled with when I was kind of picking my picks this week is, do you think that some of these players that had an opportunity to do something at the Masters are going to experience some sort of hangover? Not the ones that finished, well off, but the ones finishing inside that top 20 that saw an opportunity Sunday, went for it, like how emotionally spent are they? And will that impact them this week? It's something I was thinking about a lot.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I mean, to answer it, I don't think that it's going to affect Colin in a sense that, and maybe this might be from the coverage. And I mean, I was watching Colin closely, obviously, because of my bets on him. But there was never a period during the weekend where I thought, oh, Colin's making a run to win. You know what I mean? So I don't think that he saw it. Like, he has a great finish in it. Did he finish as well as he wanted to? I don't think so, but it's not like it was pulled from him. Like, Bryson, obviously playing on live, we're not going to have that problem with him. But I think that it would affect, like if Colin went in the final pairing, right? And was going in head-to-head against Rory and then had a very disappointing finish like we got out of Bryson. Or I'll drop another name out there, like my guy, Shane Lowry.
I was about to bring him up because that's who I think that is going to affect him.
Or 100%, like an 81 on Sunday, like that's going to affect anyone. And
especially being in contention to actually win.
100%. Like, and that's what I mean. That's a name that I saw rising up. Like, yeah, Shane, my fucking boy, let's get it done. And then he didn't get it done. Like, I even messaged one of my group chats where they said, like, Saturday night, hey, who's your pick coming into Sunday? And I said, Shane fucking Lowry. Boy, did I take heat. Yeah. I took a lot of heat for that. I mean, I will still stand 10 toes down behind my guy because of how consistent he's played and how many bets I've cashed on him so far this year.
He's been a top 20 merchant.
Very, very disappointing finish to see out of Shane. And I think that has way more of a weight on your mental game side of things than Colin. I think that, I mean, even look at Colin's, second place finish at the Arnold Palmer. He finished it up with a T10 and then a T14. So like he's been in these positions where he's had heartbreaking losses already this year. And he's finished every single one of them. Like he finished, his second at the Century with 2 T17s. He finished his second at the Arnold Palmer with a 10 and a 14. So like, I don't think that this is having an effect on Colin. If anything, it's putting more grind into, okay, I'm just there. What do I have to do to tip the pot over and to get into that, winning position more than it's been stolen from me and fuck what else? You know what I mean? Like,
No, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, like going into Shane Lowry, I just want to kind of talk about some of his success at this tournament before and success this year as well. Yeah, he had a really rough Sunday, in contention, a few strokes out, puts up a +9, was it? Yeah, +9. Yeah. Like that's insanely bad and frustrating for somebody who, was in contention and then just watches his best friend, complete the Grand Slam. I think that's going to take away from anybody. But taking a look at his stats, tee to green in the series, 4th on tour. Strokes gained total, 5th on tour. Scrambling, he's 20th on tour. Prior history at this event, T64 last year, not the greatest. 67 the year before, but then we have a run. 3rd place, 9th place, a missed cut, but another 3rd place in there. So he's played well here before. I'm not going to pick him this week just because of that Sunday. I think that took an emotional toll on him.
And it's not just Sunday, it's the disappointing finish to Saturday as well. Like this weekend definitely took a toll on Shane. And I mean, props to him when talking to the media. Like he went out there, he got it done. And he was very straight up with them. Like, hey, I'm frustrated with my game right now. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk to you. I'm just going to pull myself out of this situation and go focus on, playing golf and how can I win this? Now, obviously, it had a way bigger mental effect on him. I'm you know what I mean? I'm really interested to see what that plays on his mental going into this weekend. That might be the kick in the ass. And honestly, a beautiful celebration with one of his best friends in Rory, and being able to see, what that achievement meant to Rory. That might be what makes him go out there and grind even harder this weekend so that he can celebrate, this weekend coming up. I just don't know. I personally stayed away from Shane as well, as much as it pains me to say, just because I don't know where his head's at, and because, like you said, he's coming off some disappointing finishes in this tournament. But, I'm always excited to see Shane golf, man.
If anybody's watching is going to, feel confident about putting money on Shane, you should feel confident. He's done well this year. I just think the way the Masters played out for him, it's going to take a toll on him, and it would take a toll on anybody. So that's why we're going to kind of stay away from him. Moving on here, I want to talk a little bit about our boy Xander.
Love it, because that's where I was going next to.
Love it. So, of course, he hasn't done extremely well this year leading into a few tournaments. The last two, he's done decently well. It seems like his game's starting to trend in the right direction after that rib injury. He had a T12 at Valspar. Of course, he had the T8 in Masters. But I felt like when I was looking at his stats for the year, it wasn't an accurate representation of where his golf game is at, because he played so poorly after the injury, right?
Yep.
So I took a look specifically at the Masters and how he did in the Masters and the stats that are important to this tournament. So tee to green in the Masters, he was 10th in the field. Right, I think he's 164th in the field, for every turn, right? Yeah. Just because of the poor play in the beginning. He was 8th total strokes gained, of course, finishing in a T8. That makes sense, right? And he tied for 9th scrambling for the Masters. So he played extremely well. He played himself into a top 10 position, and his game's been trending in the right direction the last 2 weeks. I love that he's here this week. I love that he's not taking the week off. I think that he means business. I think he's back. I have confidence in Xander picks. I
definitely love him as well. Even looking back at this year with that injury, it's the same kind of thing, I guess I would say, with Ludwig's stats when you bring those up. I don't think that Ludwig's stats for the year are a very good representation of how he's playing. That being said, he also doesn't have an injury excuse. He has an illness, but then he came back from that illness. And, so it's kind of hard for me whenever I'm comparing stats and using that to pick this week. Is Xander back? I still don't know. Everything is showing that he's trending up into becoming and forming into the player that he was last year. But prior to last year, Xander was always the guy that couldn't get it done as well, right? So my kind of where I'm at in my head and where I'm battling myself is same thing battling. Is Xander who he always has been in terms of, yes, he contends and then he doesn't show up, then he contends and he doesn't show up? Or is Xander back to where he is always consistently going to be a top contender? I'm still not there yet.
Yeah.
Personally, that's not where I think that his game is at, but it definitely, based on the stats and in his last two finishes, I think he's getting to that place. But I don't think that we're going to see the absolute major killer of Xander again this year.
Yeah, so it's we're kind of opposites on the Aberg and the the Xanders, because I feel like players of that caliber, multiple major winners, Olympic gold medalists, you know what I mean? It doesn't take 8 weeks to get back. It takes, a few weeks of grinding through, and then you start to find your game. And if it trends in the right direction for 2 weeks in a row, in my opinion, you need to give that respect and say it's back. And that's why I'm doing it. I hope I'm right. Yeah, you know what I mean? Sure. I hope I'm right. But that's the reasoning for me. That's why I'm thinking
only this. Time will tell, brother.
Who else you got this week, Big Dog?
I got a couple more notable names. The first one I wanted to talk about here was Patty Ice. So our guy Patrick Cantlay, has kind of been pretty sneaky good this year. I mean, he has a few top 20s in there. He already has 2 top 5s this year. And he's an absolute horse for the course here at the RBC Heritage.
Destroys here.
T3 in 2024, 3rd solo in 2023, and 2nd in 2022. Patrick Cantlay is someone who I really have my eye on going into this week as someone who could be a real big, top contender and get it done. And I mean, at plus 1,800, the odds are wild in terms of, even if you sprinkle, a half a unit or 1 unit on there for him, it's got a crazy payout for a guy who has been playing well this year and has played really, really well at this course.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a big Patty Ice fan. I've always enjoyed his game. He's smooth, a little slow on that.
The slow play is
it's a little frustrating, but he's clutch, man. He really is Patty Ice for a reason, right? Looking at the stats this year, tee to green, he's 18th on tour. Total strokes gained, 15th on tour. Scrambling could use a little bit of work, 132nd, right? But like you said, he's got 2/3 and a 2nd in the last 3 years in a row here at this tournament. He is a horse for the course. I'm high on Patrick Cantlay as well. And I think we're both going to have him in our picks this week.
I think so. Yeah. We always do. We always have won that match.
But it makes sense, right? Like, how do you go
100%.
against that, right? Like, 100%. I mean,
100%.
in the sense when we're looking at it, I don't really like picking Scotty all the time. I picked him the one time because I felt like that was the week he could get second. He got second that week, right? Like, that made sense to me just too much. This week, there's so much
like minus 400 or something for a top 5. Like,
it's ridiculous. It's right. So I'm right there with you with Cantlay.
I got one more that I wanted to showcase, and this is another guy that we have been talking about week in and week out. I'm talking about the good Canadian boy, Corey Conners. I mean,
our top Canuck.
Corey Conners really impressed me at the Masters. Again, another disappointing Sunday in that seems to be, the story of Corey Conners this year, right? He always puts himself up there in contention. He always gets us excited to have a Canadian in there in Sunday fighting for a win, and then he can't get it done on Sunday. But I mean, his top finishes so far, T21 in 2020, T4 in 2021, T12 in 2022, 31 and 44 in the last 2 years. So even though Corey Conners, I believe, is trending up, I don't know how much I love him going into the RBC Heritage this week.
His stats aren't terrible for this course, truthfully. Tee to green, 28th on tour, strokes gained total 23rd, and he's 49th scrambling, right? I mean, he's got better scramble numbers than a lot of other people that you would, think have a much higher scramble percentage than Corey. I don't know. I like Corey as well. I think he's played extremely consistently well this year, and he hasn't had that killer instinct to go out and finish the tournament yet. I think he gets a win this year. I don't know if it's this week either, but I don't think he's going to have a bad week by any stretch of the imagination. I think he makes the cut, and I think he's going to be flirting in that top 20 area, honestly. I really do.
Yeah, cool. If you don't have anyone else then that you want to go into, I mean, I'm ready to go into who I've picked for my bets this week.
You know what? I'm going to leave. I had a little surprise for you, but he's in my picks, so I'm just going to leave my surprise for my picks.
Cool. I like that because I have a surprise for you in my first pick as well. So my top 20 pick for this week is someone that we have not talked about yet. My top 20 pick at plus 105 is Jordan Spieth.
Okay, love that.
Jordan Spieth won here in 2022. He followed that up with a second in 2023. So again, when we're talking about horses for courses, Jordan Spieth and the RBC Heritage are just a perfect match together. He's had a few splashes of brilliance so far this season where it's made me, have multiple times where I'm watching him going, oh, is Jordan back? And then he isn't. And, oh, is Jordan back? And then he isn't. But his last 2 weeks, I mean, he's coming off a T12 at the Valero and a T14 at the Masters.
Yep.
I'm not confident that Jordan's game is back to where he's going to have a top 5 finish, but I think that this is, the perfect continuation of the rise of Jordan Spieth this year, and I thought it was a perfect spot to put him in as a top 20 bet.
talk about another guy that I don't think I saw a single shot at the Masters of.
No.
Love that pick, actually. You know, I did take a look at Spieth as well. I didn't put him here, but I do love the pick. I love that we got a little bit of differences here as well, because my top 20 pick is somebody that we've never mentioned. This name has never come up once.
I love when this happens
on our podcast here. So I'm going to go through the stats here. I'm going to go through a little bit of information, then I'm going to talk about who it is. Okay. So number one, for a top 20, it's plus 175 are the odds. Okay.
Okay.
So I went down the board. Tee to green this year, a staggering 8th on tour. Strokes gained total, a staggering 4th on tour. Scrambling, 37th on tour. He's played here one time in his career and he missed the cut.
Okay.
But that's because he's new to the tour, okay, in a certain sense. His last 3 tournaments, he has a T5 at Valero, a T4 at Valspar, and a T6 at the Players. All extremely hard courses. Was not in the field for Masters this year. For top 20, I have Bud Cauley.
I love it. Good buddies with Jordan Spieth, pun intended, there on Bud Cauley. Bud Cauley is one of those names where, yeah, I honestly don't know why he doesn't come up in conversation as much, other than he's just not, I guess, a fan favorite or, you know, like a household name. But absolutely love that this pick. Year. He's been playing phenomenally, so I don't mind that pick at all.
Yeah, so I mean, the missed cut does scare me a little bit. The only time he's ever played here. But again, the way he's playing this year, his last 3 tournaments, he's got a point to prove this year. And it's, hi, my name's Bud Cauley. Remember me. And I'm starting to remember, Bud. I'm starting to remember.
Hey, maybe you keep playing like that, and we're going to be forced to talk about you all the time. My top 10 pick for this week, I said it earlier in the podcast, and you did not agree with it. I think that Ludwig is back. Another plus 105 bet for a Ludwig top 10. He finished here 10th last year. I think that he's back in that same killer form that we saw out of him throughout last season, that we've only seen those little kind of splashes of brilliance again this year. Still a little bit worried about Ludwig on Sundays and his ability to keep it consistent throughout the entire week, which is why I kind of slotted him in that 10 and instead of going a little bit lower with a 5. But I got Ludwig as my top 10 pick.
Love that. It's crazy to me that his odds are 105, where the guy I picked is plus 150, has a much better track record at this course, has a much better track record on the PGA Tour. That's Patrick Cantlay. Patrick Cantlay, who has finished his last 3 years here, third, second, is plus 150 to finish top 10 this year. How is Ludwig Aberg at a lower odds to finish top 10 than Patrick Cantlay? And that was part of the reason why I was like, God, I got to put him 10. Like, how do you not? You're giving me plus 150. And so he's one of those guys that's in my parlay as well, right? Yeah. I got Scheffler top 10. I got Patrick top 10. And then I got my guy who is in top 5 for picks here in my top 10 as well. And it was like a plus 705 or something like that, or plus 1,000 something. It surprised me that I was able to get these kind of odds on these 3 players.
Gotta love it. And I mean, Patrick was the other guy that I had in that top 10 spot. And I was kind of going between Luddy and Patrick. And ultimately what I did was I put Patty Ice in my top 5. So Patty Ice for top 5 got me plus 320. He's top 5 finished in this tournament the past 3 years. I don't see any reason why I would say he wouldn't top 5 it again. And that's ultimately what made me put Patty Ice in my top 5 bet this week.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I put him in my 10 just because the odds favored that over who I was thinking elsewise.
Yeah, and I don't mind it. You know, the more that I think, the top 5 is so fucking hard to bet that I sometimes wish I took my 5 and did it as a 10 as, I mean, dare I say, a safer pick. But it is, right? But I mean, plus 150 odds is still, It's better odds than you're going to get betting a fucking hockey game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And truthfully, like, I was looking at some of the other players and I was just like, it just makes so much more sense to pick a plus 150 Patrick Cantlay top 10 and then go for broke on the top 5, which I did with Xander Schauffele at plus 240.
Was not expecting that. Interesting.
Was not expecting that, huh? Well, and like for my other parlay, I got him in my top 10, right? It's him, Chef, and Patty. I got a lot of faith in Xander. I really think this is the week. The same way I said, when we had that conversation around Scotty, this is the week, he comes back. I really think this is the week Xander comes back. I think, especially after not being showcased in the Masters and having a top 10 finish, I think there's a point to prove here. And it's, how the hell did you forget about me?
Yeah, man. I mean, I love every single one of your bets. The one I love the most is that 3-way parlay for top 10. So I think that's an incredible bet to make. And maybe that's something that we have to add into the program, like a nice kind of tray-way parlay per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that.
And go in because
if we call it tray-way parlay, because if we have to call it any other thing, I'm just not in.
Hey, maybe we do that because, that's a great start to it. I'm really, really excited to see how your first tray-way parlay on the pod goes.
Let's go.
Maybe we bring that
fired up. Let's go.
Next week. But yeah, hey, anything else you want to get to before we sign off here?
I love you, Bryson.
Beautiful. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week.